as owner broker of Virtuous Realty Group, and welcome to VRG TV episode 7, Reset, Reflect, Adjust, and Go. Tonight I have with you one of my favorites, no disrespect to anyone else, one of my favorites, my sister Rashida Wilson. I'm going to allow her to speak next and kind of introduce herself and what she does in our community. She does a lot, but I'm so grateful to have you on with me tonight. Tell us a little bit about us and whatever you want to share.
All right. Thank you so much for having me, first of all. Right?
Absolutely.
We can be comfortable, right? All right, good. I'm glad we can be comfortable.
Safe place.
All right. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. VRG TV. My name is Rashida Wilson, and I have the privilege of serving in many capacities. I'm a friend to Pam, so she is my sister in ministry and just sister in business. And so it's always an honor to sit with individuals that have a heart for our community and want to see us do better. And so I was honored when she asked me to come hang out tonight. So hopefully, as we chat, I'll be able to share something that will help you reset, regroup, re-go, whatever that looks like for you, right? I'm a mother. I have two little people. I often say I have a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old that's going to be 17 on her next birthday. You go figure, right? I am the director of experiential learning in the College of Business and Public Affairs at Alabama A&M University, full-time. I'm a faculty member, and I serve on the leadership team. Outside of that, I am the founder of Nehemiah Leadership Institute, where we empower minority women to move forward in management and leadership. And so I am always looking for ways to contribute to our community as we help women in general, people, but women in specific, move forward in what God has called them to do. So I'm excited to be here tonight. Yes. I'm excited to be a part of VRG TV, and I'm looking forward to having this conversation. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So did you guys hear that? Like, she is a community servant, a leader, entrepreneur, all the things. So.
Uh-oh. I'm nervous, right? I'm nervous. This so makes me nervous.
So that's why I chose her for this episode, because sometimes it's hard to reset. Like, what does adjust look like? Like, what, like all the things. How do you do all of that, especially with everything that you just mentioned to us? What does reset look like to you? Like, not even just to you, but how can you speak to any viewer or entrepreneur who's just been going top of the year and now we're knocking on the door of the third quarter? What does reset look like?
So I think sometimes what happens is that we get so busy moving that sitting still is not something that we're familiar with or comfortable with. I'm telling you from experience. And ironically enough, my pastor would say that I'm running on fumes, right? And because I, in times past, would just be going and going and going. And it's only until you sit down and you sit still that you realize, you know, I'm tired, right? And so for me, resetting is understanding the value and the importance of sitting still. And that understanding that sitting still doesn't mean you're not doing anything. It just means that you're not moving chaotically sometimes, and sometimes aimlessly without any purpose or any direction. And so sometimes we get so busy, right? As women, we are mothers, we're wives, entrepreneurs, we're doing a million things. And unless somebody says, okay, it's time to press the reset button, or it's time for you to sit still, we won't do that. And for me, I've had to almost be out of gas, tired mentally, emotionally. We know mental health is a big deal right now. Snapping at my kids, snapping at my husband, snapping, until it's like, okay, ma'am, get your life together.
Go reset.
You need to reset, right? And so it's those moments where you realize, okay, Rashida, you need to stop moving and give yourself permission to know that it's okay to stop. It's okay to stop.
Yes.
So I had to learn it was okay to stop.
That's so good. So what I heard her say is she recognized, or you have to recognize the value in resetting. That is so, so good. So I'm gonna, and the viewers should know by now, I'm always transparent. Okay. So I've been going since the top of the year myself, so I was really talking about me.
Yeah, sure.
I've been going, and my husband has planned a trip for us mid-July.
Good.
But I was like, no, I need something before that. So we've, spare of the moment, has planned a trip for the 4th of July. So we'll be gone. But I need it, and I knew that my body needed it. I knew I needed it spiritually, mentally, maybe even emotionally. Right. So thank you. So understanding the value in resetting and not feeling guilty about it.
Absolutely not. And paying attention to the people around you that say, you don't see, but I see that you need to pause, right? And when you have the right people around you, your husband, people that are friends, that are concerned about your total well-being,
Yes.
they help you press the reset button.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's important.
Because I'm always, sort of like you, I'm always trying to figure out how I can serve in any other capacity. So I wrote someone today, you know, Chief McLeod, and I said, how can I help this be better? And he said, you already have enough on your plate.
Right. That's the people around you saying, you don't need anything else.
So make sure you have good people around you to say, no, your capacity is already full.
That's it.
Recognize the value in resetting, and then just go from there.
Yeah,
okay?
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
So what does personal reflection mean to you?
That's a good question. So I had a conversation today. I have the privilege of being a part of Women in Technology event tomorrow. And I'm going to be talking on a panel about the imposter syndrome, right? And so for me, the imposter syndrome often starts with this introspection because we don't feel like imposters because of the outside world. We feel like imposters because of the inside, right? And so I really feel like when we deal with those internal issues and unlayer, you know, I think great leaders, and I say this all the time, even with my institute, that great leaders understand the value of introspection. And I had to understand how important that was. It was hard because like I don't have time to sit down and look in time and reflect. What you mean? I got stuff to do. I got somewhere to be. Right? I'm busy, right? And then I realized that the only way you can be an effective leader and operate at peak or optimized capacity is when you first sit down and start unlayering some things internally and being transparent, right? I took a whole month one time just to focus on emotional intelligence. Because I'm like, Rashida, you got to work on that. Because if you're going to sit at certain seats, you got to be able to manage that. And I had to decide that. No one outside of me pointed me in that direction. Holy Spirit, of course. But I had to say, all right, I need to work on this. And so I think it's so important that we do that introspection in order for us to really grow and flourish the way God wants us to. So,
that was
it don't always feel good.
Yeah, because just, I think even, and you can speak on this, for me, I got in a season of not really isolation, but where I knew that God was taking me or where I was growing to. I needed to be in a space, a quiet space, so that I could self-reflect or just figure out, okay, what's my next move versus all the chatter and the noise. You can't reflect if you're always
in a busy space.
In a busy space. Oh.
And silence can be very loud.
Yes.
And so because of that, we don't want to hear that. We like the noise. We like the noise. Busyness.
That's it. Silence can be very loud. That is so good because you can actually hear now. All
the noise is gone.
What you're supposed to do, or where you can write down that vision or whatever it is that you have. Oh, that is so good. I hope y'all are taking some notes.
Yeah, I learned a lot here lately.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll move on so that I can get you home tonight to your family. How do you learn to adjust, or how can ones learn to adjust in any season, whether they've had an amazing top of the year through, the second quarter, or it wasn't that great? Like, how do they adjust to whatever that looked like, and how can they adjust to make it look better for the next quarter, the next season?
Absolutely.
That type of thing.
So, interestingly enough, I had a conversation with a friend the other day that heard a pastor say something that she shared with me that I thought, oh, that's good. Yeah. I'm going to use it again. I don't remember his name, else I would give him credit, right? Yeah. So she said, when you're playing a game, right, halftime is when you go to the locker room. Get some instruction, get some clarity. What plays did we do good? Which ones didn't we do good? And at that moment, we get ready to get out of the field and try to win the game, right? And so I think a lot of times in halftime, you do see in some of these movies, right? Halftime, they're playing and joking and having a good time. No, I need you to play for a few minutes, but I need you to sit down.
That's it.
So we can get some direction on what we need to do a little bit different as we go into the second half of the game, right? And so I think what needs to happen is that halftime needs to be taken very seriously. Yeah, let's reflect on what we didn't do well, but don't stay there. I really believe that no matter what we fail to accomplish, we accomplish something without failure.
That's it.
And if you focus on what you accomplished and not what you didn't accomplish, then we can take it into the next half. Okay, we did that well. We didn't do that so well, but that's okay. That gives room for tweaking. And let's tweak and move forward. Like, don't get stuck there. So I think there's room for reflecting and looking at what we could be doing differently and how we need to take that halftime moment and get some instruction for next
That
half.
was a lot. That was all of that was so good. So I don't have to be stuck. Just figure out what didn't work, adjust,
And let's go.
And let's go.
Let's go. There's no, I mean, I am not into sports, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not an Auburn or Alabama fan because I don't want your people being mad at me, right? Right? Because if you go to my girlfriend's house, if you're an Auburn fan, you can come in. If you're not, you can't come in, right? So I don't know nothing about that. I don't know nothing about that. Right? But what I will say to you is, I think that whenever we look at the games that are being played, you can't soak in halftime.
No.
This is we can talk about this after the game.
That's it.
We gotta go.
But let's focus.
That's it. And
Let's
so we gotta
focus.
stay focused and keep moving. Get a couple tweaks, figure a couple things out.
Adjust those things.
Yeah, but let's go.
And let's go.
Let's go.
And so we've jumped already to the end because we're supposed to go. So we're all, but her and we're already going.
Okay, I know, right. That's why we need to go on vacation. See, that's why your husband
That's why we
got to
reset. So we that's the part that we gotta get down packed is resetting. Because
Absolutely.
we got to go on point.
Absolutely.
But anyway, so that's so good. You said something and I lost it, but it's okay. All of that's good. I hope y'all captured it because that's a great way to not stay stuck and stagnant and trying to figure out or getting upset with your friends or people you call your friends because you don't know how to adjust to get to the next.
Yeah.
So it's okay, just adjust, figure out what didn't work and proceed on.
Absolutely.
Okay, why is adjusting in life important?
So the pandemic has taught us a number of things. One, wash your hands, stay clean, right? Sanitize, clean your hands, purify your heart, right? But all jokes aside, what we've learned is how to pivot.
That's it.
Right? If you're looking for a job, you're looking to invest, you're looking for business partners, whatever, they want to understand your agility, right? Are you able to move and pivot as innovation changes, as thing changes? And so if you can't adjust by nature, it's going to make it very difficult for you in life to move through. And it's hard sometimes because we are creatures of habit. So change is something that we don't always readily embrace. But it was so interesting. I had the conversation, as I mentioned today, for tomorrow's event. And there was a lady there that was talking about these the nerves and our responses to attack, our responses to positive stress and negative stress, and how positive stress is good, but negative stress is not bad as long as you learn how to dance with it.
That's it.
And the beauty about embracing, remember how you say, sis, so you praying for me? And I'm like, trust me, everything that you go through, don't get prayed away, right? Some things we have to learn how to dance with it. And the beauty is if we embrace it right, then we get to decide how the dance goes. But life is not going to be without the need to make the necessary adjustments if you're going to go further faster, as Pastor would say. Yeah.
Just throw away the notes. That is so good. Anyway, you're helping the people.
We got to adjust.
You're helping the people. So you got to adjust, guys. It's important. It's actually vital to your future. Actually, it's vital to your present. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
Like you can't even get to your next without making that important adjustment to your now. I think Pastor also says, what is it? Like where we were 3 years ago, we're not there. But if we didn't do what we need to do or were obedient then, we wouldn't be where we are right
today.
now.
That's it.
Man,
everything plays a part.
Everything plays a part. So you
does.
got to adjust. And that's an important piece of resetting and making that adjustment. It's important. Okay. So and then we've already kind of talked about this, but what does your goal look like after you've reset, reflected, and adjusted? What does go look like? And I know I've said we're already on go.
Yeah.
We're always on go. Like, I think that there's a certain amount or different people, right? Ones that will stay on the sidelines, ones that will say, hey, I'm going to go do this, but some that's like us that will just go. But what does that look like for you in this third quarter?
Absolutely. So, interestingly enough, I have been the go girl, right? Now, the beauty in the go is that there are people that will get you across the finish line. And even as I've been in school and we're going to win. We're getting A, we're going to get to the other side. I don't have to drag everybody across the finish line. We are going to do well, right?
Yes.
But I realize also that whenever God downloads something or he needs me to do something, that my go on steroids would get me out of the will of God. And so whenever God would give me permission to do something, I ask a lot of questions. now. That's what my goal looks like. It never looked like that before. It looked like God showed me this vision. I'm going for it. And he's like, well, wait.
Slow down.
Ask for some details.
I haven't
You
put all
about the trip. And so for anybody that's watching, I know many people, God has downloaded some things in your spirit that he wants to do for you, do in you, do through you. And sometimes the goal can be the pressure of accomplishing that thing for whatever reason will cause you to go prematurely, right? And I have ran ahead of the gun many times.
Yes.
And now my goal looks like I hear God, why that introspection you talked about was so important. I reflect, and then I let him give me some clarity on how to proceed.
Yes.
And that's not always been my story, but it feels so much better because I feel like I've counted the costs.
That's it.
And now I'm okay, I'm ready.
Yes.
So.
And oftentimes, another transparent moment for me, oftentimes what you said was God will give me a vision and I'm ready to execute on all levels. And I feel like I can do it at 110%, but truthfully I can't.
Yeah.
Like in May, and a lot of people know I've said this, May almost took me out, right? I had my son graduating and I had multiple events for the company. And I was just tired by the end of May. But I also wanted to execute on something that you know that I'm trying to roll out for local entrepreneurs. I just couldn't do it.
Absolutely.
I wanted to like slow down. I actually reset to slow down and enjoy the ride with my son. So that's just so good to just think about, like, don't just go, guys. Like, just because you have this vision, and oftentimes, like, can we speak to the entrepreneurs, like you said, that they know, I got to put these down for a second. They know that it's something they're supposed to be doing. And I'm going to use someone for an example. They're ready to leave their job, but maybe it's not time to go. Can you speak to that? Like, well, you already said, don't move prematurely, but what if it's just so negative and draining? Do you be still or do you go? Like, what do you?
Yeah, it's hard sometimes to speak to people that are in that space because in their mind, it's like, I'm over it. And I had a conversation with someone here recently, and I said, you know, sometimes you still, and I don't want to get into the too much of the churchy side, right? But sometimes you still have an assignment that you've not yet completed. Sometimes there's a level of growth that has to develop in you. I see a lot of people running into entrepreneurship, and I think that there's beauty in it, right? Because I'm in that space now. I did not run into it. I fought with God because I'm like, I love my good full-time job, and this extra money is beautiful, right? And so he's like, no, I need you to do a little bit more, right? I want to stretch you. But what I had to realize was that I was reluctant because I knew that there were some foundational things that I had not developed. And I highly recommend, before you jump out into entrepreneurship, do a litmus test, right, if you will, on your skill sets and your strengths and your weaknesses. Do a personal SWOT analysis. Figure out where you are holistically as a leader and as a manager, because there are two different things. As you manage people, as you develop and build a business, you've got to manage yourself. You've got to lead yourself. You've got to lead people. And I think a lot of times we do ourselves a disservice, and those that want to follow us into these unknown lands, right? Because we don't take time to kind of figure out if we have the foundation that's necessary. I have a friend, her name is Ashley Welch Davis, and she's an attorney, and she says something that is so powerful. You cannot outbuild a poor foundation. And so if the foundation is not set, you put yourself in a very compromising position to include those that follow you. And so the question becomes, how do we ensure our foundation is set? And we got to look at, do we have discipline, right? Are you disciplined? Do you do some things consistently? And those are areas that I had to further develop because I realized I had some trauma in some areas that made me not as consistent as I would like to be. And so I had to address those things. And so introspection, as you mentioned earlier, is so important. If you're wanting to move out into entrepreneurship, it requires a lot. And when people say they want to move into entrepreneurship because they don't want to work for anybody, you're not ready for entrepreneurship. You're
not ready.
Because you work for everybody who cuts you a check. You don't work for somebody that you punch in a clock to, right? But I promise you, when I had to work on projects as a consultant, everybody's asleep in my house. And the Lord said, you keep pushing through because you need to finish this project by such and such a time. That's your CEO. So you don't get to just do whatever you want to do. So there's a misnomer out there that entrepreneurship means that you can be as free and have flexibility. You grow to that place. But you start at building a solid foundation, particularly if you want people to follow you. So yeah, don't go until you know. Look, don't go until you know.
That's good. Write that down, guys. Don't go until you know.
For sure.
Yes,
you know?
Because man, that could be a scary space.
Absolutely.
You've now leaped and launched, and now what?
Now what? Listen.
You don't know what to do.
Absolutely.
You don't have your licenses in place, and this session is not about that, but we want to make sure that you're prepared for
Absolutely.
it before you go. So slow down. First of all, we want you to reset, adjust, reflect, and then go, okay? So just actually write those things out.
And get wise counsel,
Yes.
right? Not good advice. There is indeed a difference, right? Wise counsel are individuals that have a view of the big picture from an aerial shot view and not necessarily the ground view, right? And then hear what they have to say about the matter. Be open. I have a friend who says, okay, Rashida, I need you to pray with an open heart. I'm like, God doggone it. I didn't want to pray about that with an open heart. I just wanted to pray about it, right? But honestly, we got to pray to God with an open heart. He'll send support, he'll send help, and he'll send wise counsel to help you navigate these difficult spaces as you reset and go forward. So.
And her favorite thing, or her, I love when she says, ask for help. And not just from anybody, like she said, from someone that's actually been there. Maybe even go grab your mentor who's actually been where you're trying to get to.
Absolutely.
Versus just going, again, prematurely. So we care about you guys, so we want to make sure that you're actually launching this thing on a solid foundation.
Yeah.
What did you say? I have to repeat this. She said, you cannot outbuild a poor foundation.
Right.
Man.
Ashley Welch-Davis, my sister and friend, said that. You know, I give credit where credit is due.
Yes.
But yeah, she's phenomenal, and,
Yes.
and I agree with her. Like
Yes.
you can't outbuild it. There's poor foundation.
If it's you started from here, but you were supposed to start from here.
Yeah, you missed a step.
You missed all the steps.
And then
So-
you want people to follow you. That's
Yes,
the dangerous
that's
part.
that's it. So going back to me wanting, like I felt like everybody was like, we need this. I know, but I'm not prepared to even put it out there. And if I'm going to put anything out, it has to be 110%.
Absolutely.
I can't do that 50% type of stuff and put my name behind
Absolutely. Don't let people put you under pressure to produce in an area for something that they want that you're not ready to sustain. I think success is what's sustainable.
it. Did you hear what you just said?
Yeah, I've been there.
Don't let people put you under pressure to produce.
For something they want. Yeah.
Man.
Especially because it puts you out of God's timing.
That's it.
I
That's
mean,
it.
this is all lived
All out of
experience.
alignment.
Look,
Yeah.
this is not what I read in the book.
That's it. That's it. She's gone through it.
Yeah.
She's gone through the troubled waters and all the things to give you that advice. So, okay. So, is there any advice that you could provide to our viewers entering into this third quarter? Any at all?
So I think for me, one of the things that I've had to learn, so I personally have a business mantra, is build relationships first, do business later, right? And I've had a number of conversations with a lot of people, and they say, how do you navigate certain spaces? You know, we got to talk to Kim, and just I'm grateful for the access I have to different great people. And I'm just trying to be relational, you know? I'm silly and goofy when I want to be, right? You know, I just want to have a good time and enjoy life and not be stuffy, as Larissa would say, right? Don't be stuffy. But I think for me, it's about building relationships, right? And trying to sustain those relationships. I've not always been successful in that area. Hence the reason why I went into that quiet moment of emotional intelligence. Okay, Rashida, everybody's not at fault. What you doing different? What you doing wrong? What you need to work on? What you need to tweak? You know, that kind of thing. And then the other thing I would highly recommend is, I always love to reference this, and as we're coming to close, I think this is a good place to do it. Reference in the Bible where there was a man that needed to get before Jesus. And in order for him to get before Jesus, these men had to carry him to the roof, rip the roof off, and lower him down without dropping him. Could you imagine the amount of strength that they had to have, the amount of agility you talked about, being able to pivot and move, and the amount of care about him getting what he needed, right? And I think that what we don't find often is surrounding ourselves with the right people that could carry the weight of what you have going on at that time. And so I think that that's important, is who you surround yourself. So as we go into the second quarter, in the second half of the year, I could imagine a lot of people saying, man, I had to sever some relationships. Man, things didn't look like what I thought. And I think we can sever relationships and not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like, we don't have to, it doesn't have to be negative.
That's it.
But as we go into the second half, the question becomes, how we need to assess those relationships, what went wrong, and we're always playing a part in things that may not have unfolded the way we thought. So we need to do personal assessment, because everybody else is not always a problem.
That's it.
And then what do I need to do differently as I go into the second half, as I identify people around me and figure out the people at your table, if everybody at the table is saying the same thing, you got the wrong people at the table. Nobody questions, nobody's giving a little bit pushback, nobody's making you think or challenging you. If you don't want to be challenged, you can't lead.
If you don't want to be challenged, you can't lead.
That's it. That's it. That's it. So as we move into this second half, I tell people all the time, and I've done some research, and even as I read, 5 to 7 years before an innovation breakthrough takes place, it's already moving. So 5 to 7 years down the road is what's happening right now. And if we're not open to the shifting of relationships, shifting of putting people in right positions, the right people on the right seats on the bus, good to great, if we're not doing that, we're going to miss something. And I think for leaders that want to reset, want to prepare to go, you got to think about all of those key components and how those play into the next place that God wants to take you. So, yeah. So I spent a lot of time in this space. I love it, as you can tell. But I'm learning and growing as well.
That's it. And I love, I don't know if you understand. And y'all, I have chills. I don't know if y'all feel what I feel right now, but I have chills because I'm so grateful that you came at a time like this where she's talking about having the right people in place. I know that I had the right people in place to push me and challenge me to move forward.
Absolutely.
Oh, I have chills. So you said so much, but I want to thank you for coming out last night to support Kim.
Absolutely.
So just even thinking about that, I met Kim about 5 years ago, but 5 years ago, I was in a space of looking at her as an inspiration, and still to this day, but what I'm saying is, 5 years ago, Virtuous was not a thing. And just watching her, I was able to launch my company and trying to figure out how she did it. So now surrounding myself around the Rashidas and the Kims who's already been there, who's made those mistakes and say, hey, Pam, maybe you should navigate this way, or no, maybe you shouldn't do it that way. Those are the type of people she's talking about. Someone that's already been there. And sorry, I didn't reference Kim Lewis. We hosted an event last night for Kim Lewis for her campaign. And she's now celebrating 20 years in business. So I want to get where Rashida and Kim is, been in business for the years that they've been in business. So that's who I'm gonna model. I'm gonna model that the people that
you're trying to get where I am. I'm trying to get where you are. What do you mean? Oh my goodness, you're doing amazing. The thing is, okay, so I appreciate you giving us all this honor, right? But we're on VRG TV. Let's talk about the woman sitting on the couch here, right? So this woman is amazing because her spirit is so consistent, right? The thing that I think that is so important when you are resetting and going and doing all this stuff is that you remain consistent, right? And I think that what you have done is you're building an empire, but the beauty about what you're building is you're trying to take other people with you. You invited me to meet several people that are on your team. And I think what you and Kim have in common is that you understand that this is not about you, right? It's all about how can I help other people shine? How can I put other people on the platform? And so I'm honored that you would call me here. I don't know what you think I've done. I mean, I do a good job, must be bad for your wife to think that I'm like this superstar. I am not. I am a humble servant. I'm grateful to God for all of my years and years of experience, both in ministry and in business. But I've had to sit under some great leaders. Our pastor is one of them. And then I've had some other amazing leaders in the marketplace. I mean, all of my mentors have been millionaires, and I'm grateful for that. I told Kim, I'm like, hey, I need you to mentor me. She's like, I need you to mentor me. I'm like, okay, not right now. We'll talk later. Right? But I mean, she's doing phenomenal things. She made $46 million last year with Project XYZ. I mean, I've seen her manufacturing space. I've been to her restaurant. I've been to the TV station. She's doing great things. And I put you in that same category. I think you're doing phenomenal things for your generation. You're not that far off. You're not that young. But I just think that there's a value in women celebrating women. And this is the time for us to do that. So I honor you for doing what you did for her yesterday. And I'm more honored to be sitting on your couch.
Absolutely. Ooh, I'm not gonna even add to it. But that's why I love her, because of her humble spirit, her humble heart, and just how pure she is. So anyway, thank you. Thank you again for joining me.
Absolutely.
I would ask you for a fun fact, but I'm not, because you've dropped so many gems. But how can the people find you if they need any of your services?
Absolutely. So for leadership, so it's info@nehermiah.com or www.nehermiah.com. I do run a program at Alabama A&M University, so you need interns. You can reach out to me there. I always got to put a shameless plug for them. And I am on the leadership team there, so we're always looking for speakers and community people to come in talking to Pam now about how we might be able to bring some of her services into our college for students that are looking to get into real estate. She's phenomenal. So if you've got resources that our students can leverage for their next level of success, emerging leaders getting to the next level is my thing. I'm more than happy to do that. And if you're a woman executive that needs some guidance and some insight on how to get to the next level, I'm here for it as well. So,
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you guys so much for joining episode 7 of VRG TV with my sister Rashida Wilson. This is episode 7. Reflect, reset, adjust, and go. And I know I said that backwards for those who's just really, really watching and know that that was not the right way. But thank you guys. And I hope you grabbed some sort of nuggets. Everything she said just had me like over here in chills because it was such great information to enter into the third quarter. I wish you guys the best in the third quarter. If there's anything you need from us, we're here to push you forward. Absolutely. Have a great evening.